I suppose 1930 is as good a year as any to start my story, or rather the story of my village, Naraspur. Just an ordinary village with ordinary people, hard-working people. Of course, we also had our landlords, who lived in comfortable homes, a life of ease. But life wasn't easy for most of our people. However, the problem that faced us wasn't really one of rupees, annas and pies. It was the curse of a social order that hung like a millstone around our necks. For instance, take my father. He wasn't a pauper by any means. He owned a fine herd of cattle, which he was proud of. Father had no trouble finding customers for his milk, because it was good and cheap. Even the orthodox bought it gladly, but as for touching him, that for them was a sin. Business is business, and father, although illiterate, had his own rough and ready credit system. But all the credit in the world wouldn't have got my father past those temple doors. That hurt him deeply. Also the matter of my education. He would have gladly given all his earnings to have got me inside, for he believed that investment in knowledge paid the best interest. Well, prejudice stopped me from entering that schoolroom, but it didn't stop me from learning, thanks to my father's encouragement. And then one day my father passed away. For a time there was darkness all around. Gradually the light returned, and I continued to equip myself for my future as he had wanted all along. Call it prestige if you like, but it was sound common sense too. Anyway, from a practical point of view, education was paying off, for our family business was certainly looking up, although the village diehards looked down on my success. Thanks to my schooling, keeping accounts was easy. I gave credit where credit was due, and my wife did the monthly collecting. If looks could kill, my wife would have passed out long ago. But she was also educated and, like me, had to patiently suffer many indignities. I devoted my spare time to the education of my children, because the old order still existed and the village school would not accept them.
Usha!
One evening, a neighbor's child casually dropped in. Soon she was as interested to learn as my two children. That set me thinking. And the very next day, I put my thoughts into action. I consulted the members of my community. Well, it resulted in our opening a school for any child who was not permitted to attend the one for the orthodox. Our school soon proved to be very popular, though not with some. They didn't want the old order to change. When independence came, we who had treasured its coming actively took part in the celebrations, for we knew that liberty backed by law is the best safeguard of the oppressed. And there was that safeguard in black and white, the Indian Constitution. We contacted officials to see that justice brought action in our village. For instance, in the matter of our using the well. It did prove a headache to some, though. Yes, justice was making its presence felt. at last, freedom of worship. The law opened the temple doors. And the school I wasn't allowed to enter as a child was open to all and sundry, and our school became a part of it. Respectfully, we enter the new institution to celebrate its opening. That was fine, but the biggest surprise was when I was introduced as the new master. They had to welcome me, though much against their wishes. Another visible change in the scheme of things happened through my son. He told me about some scholarships that were advertised for our community in the capital. Well, Ramu wanted to apply. I thought that a good thing. Still, when Usha, our daughter, also wanted to, I thought that was much too much of a good thing. But we gave them our blessings all the same, and our blessings were fruitful. As we saw them off, I wondered whether my father would have approved. The Girls' Occupational Institute accepted Usha for advanced studies. As for Ramu, he joined a technical training school. How quickly things were changing for the better in the new India. The months passed and we got good reports of their progress. Then, about a year ago, Usha wrote to say she'd become, you probably guessed it, a school teacher. And Ramu was well on his way to becoming an engineer. Then one day a letter came, which we were dreading. Yes, that was it. Usha wanted to marry without even consulting us. Was this her gratitude for all we'd done for her? I decided to put a stop to this nonsense before it was too late. Where's Usha? I asked Ramu, without waiting to acknowledge his greeting. I could see that Usha had won her mother over. Well, it was going to be different with me. I thought, let's finish this thing once and for all, and called him for an explanation. He said he was the son of a peasant, that his father had scraped and saved to send him to college to learn scientific farming. As soon as he finished his course, he'd return to the land because farming was in his blood. And he wanted to go back with Usha. Was that so very wrong? What would you have done? That's just what I did. I gave my consent. Not only my consent, but something more practical. A tractor as a wedding present. Extravagant? Not at all. I had some money saved up. The rest the government loaned me on easy terms. It was a present that would serve our village in many ways. Our return took the diehards by surprise. From the noise, they thought a war was on, and the army was taking over. In a way, it was true. A war was on. Against prejudice and hidebound methods. Among the new soldiers were a modern farmer, a trained teacher, and an engineer, our children. The best lesson they've learned so far is that each generation must fight this war without thought of surrender. How else can humanity march forward towards a better society?